Yeah. This is great time. Welcome, welcome to Greg Talks. Welcome to Greg Talks. I believe we'll get that intro song one more time. It's welcome to Greg Talks. Welcome to Greg Talks. We believe we got a good show together for you tonight. All right, okay. Trying to have a little technical difficulty here, but I think I'm getting it worked out. We welcome you to Greg Talks. Welcome you to a show for you this evening. Wow, got a special guest, educator that's coming on with us here very shortly. Great person, great man of God. Love education, love children, and just love teaching, just loving imparting information to people. So I'm so excited to have our special guest this evening. We're getting ready to bring him on. Let's thank God this evening for Elder Tremel Chambray, the educator. Yes, there he comes. There he is. What's up, Tremel?
Nothing much.
All right, how you doing this evening, man? How you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm good. Just want to welcome you to the show. Of course, you know, when I start doing this stuff every now and then, due to my technological illiteracy, I start to having a few problems. So I quickly switched over to from my Wi-Fi to my hotspot, and hopefully that would work out for us pretty good. I do see Melanie is saying that it seems to be a little bit glitchy, and so you know, it's looking good on my end.
Yes.
Yeah, it's looking good on your end. So
yeah.
Hopefully it's looking good on everybody's end. So we welcome all of our viewers, whether they're viewing live here on Facebook or live on YouTube. We're streaming live both of those areas. And we just gonna have a great time tonight talking about education and where we are from here, where we go from here, where do our schools go from here. You know, just to set the stage, you know, everything was going well, and then March comes and we get a notification from the schools that school was going to be out. It was March 18th, you know, until, you know, for the note again. Okay, are you good on your end?
Yes.
Uh-oh, Jamel, look like you froze.
Oh no.
On me. Wow. Okay. We still having some difficulty. Just a moment. Yes. Okay, having trouble connecting again. Wow. My internet connection is acting up on me. Wow.
All right. Well, until Bishop gets back, I'm just going to fill this time with something. I see people are popping on. Thank you. Tonight we are discussing education. I think he was finishing up saying that coronavirus hit, and when it hit, things really, really had to change. And so when they changed, guess what? We had to make changes too. So here in the state of Alabama, that's where we are. That's where I am. Tomorrow, we're waiting on a big announcement from our state superintendent to determine how we are going to process and go through the next school year. There has never been anything in the history of school, in my time, of course, that has done this to the school system. And we had to make some changes quickly, as in virtual learning became the #1 thing to do. But at the same time we did this virtual learning, parents for the first time had to like look over shoulders and be the teacher and mom and dad and lunchroom worker and so much. So kudos to all parents who had to do that, big brothers and sisters, aunts, uncles, everyone that had to make this change. In the midst of making that change, they learned some things. Either you learned that your child was really productive at this new process, or you learn where, sometimes they get bored in the subject area, but sometimes you get bored in that subject area too. So how do we progress from that? So tonight, we're just going to be open and try to flow from there. In the midst of flowing from there, we will accept questions from you guys. So if you have a question that you want to ask about education and where we're going from here, please type it in and I'll be sure to get to you if I can. So going back to where we are with coronavirus. So coronavirus hit and everything had to pause. Like I say, first time anything like this. And honestly, for this upcoming school year, it's going to be something different. And when I say that it's something different, I mean, think about it. Mom and dad, you're now having to make the decision. Do I send my child back or do you want to send your child back? Let's think about all the germs that travel in school, but I don't need you to freak out. Germs are going to travel anyway. We just have to be cautious, or more cautious now. So we're taking those precautions to be more cautious. And now that we're doing that, what are we going to do? And now Greg is back.
I'm back. Look like I should have just let you go on by yourself.
No, I don't think so.
You were doing,
I thought you might be.
you were doing such a great job, man. You're doing such a great job. Yeah. So anyway, but go. Yeah, you was absolutely right. I was about to go there because I was able to watch and listen to you, even though I wasn't on. I still would listen to what was going on, and it was absolutely great. But that's where I was going. That all of a sudden, coronavirus hit and COVID-19 hit, and everything shut down. You know, school was actually supposed to close on the 18th. Ended up closing on the 16th, you know, so kids haven't been back to school since, you know. So, how now? I know you, and you stated that we're waiting on a statement from Dr. Mackey tomorrow. We're eagerly anticipating and waiting on to see what he has to say about that. But I guess my question is, and because I think one of the things that many people are anticipating, and probably some are hoping for, is school going virtual. You know, how do you feel about virtual school?
I'm a fan of virtual school. Let's think about it. Think about parents who've gone to online school and they're able to manage going to work every day, coming home, popping your computer open or getting on your phone, and you can complete all of your work. The same thing can happen here. And what I've actually learned, I have a family friend, her son doesn't do too well in the actual school building. There's some bullies, there's some issues, there's some problems, but him being at home and still being able to get that same lesson in the comfortability of his room, perfect A's last semester. So there is a difference when you're comfortable and you're at home. So we just have to adjust to it. The world is moving virtually. We're having church virtually. Some people, you haven't been in this many Zoom meetings ever. So it's a thing of we are adjusting or readjusting ourselves to make it work. And let's look at it. Big companies are now saying, guys, you don't even have to come back. You can work at home for the rest of the year. We can get everything done still by making this virtual. Now, there is a problem when we switch to virtual, and that is people who do not have access to the internet, people who do not have access to tablets or computers, people that don't have access to keep those bills paid, to keep that on. Those are other issues, but there are programs around here that are trying to help that. I know for sure Verizon Wireless is putting up new towers that are going to be able to ping free internet for people in certain areas. And they're going to lower income places, urban areas that can really help and advance and push some people that would not have that opportunity. So it's getting out there. Some school systems put their buses out there. And with the buses, they also had food, but some were taking like routers and they're taking hotspots to better areas so that you can pick up and do your work. I think that from every kid that I've actually talked to, virtual learning was fun for them. Now, they miss the interaction of their friends, but they've come up with new ways to interact with their friends. We have not skipped a beat. We've not missed anything. It can and it will work.
Well, that was going to be pretty much my next question. How was it going to affect those students, that don't have access to Wi-Fi or electronic devices? But you pretty much already answered that question. Especially with companies like Verizon, of course, Verizon say, that they are the best in the business. Yes. So, and I sometimes I tend to agree with them, even though I'm not a Verizon customer, but right. I think they have the best in the business when it comes to that. So yes, and I did see somewhere like another school system, whatever they did, to take the buses out to rural areas, but that that I believe will definitely work yes. For those students who don't have that. And I also believe that if there would be an appeal made to companies that make the electronic devices, maybe they could team up with the schools as well.
I believe that some things are like that, they're in the works. I know Apple does a lot with schools. I do know for sure that there are companies, the Chromebooks, there are grants that you can write to get several Chromebooks. We still have actually it. That has to be done differently. But some people are extending, like a restaurant that's in your area, they offer free Wi-Fi. Right. You go to your McDonald's, you go to this place, and sometimes you have to sit up there and get your work done in that spot. But I love to watch a child like persevere, just keep going and push. You can get done what you want to get done if you want to get done. And that's the bottom line. If you want to do the work, you'll find the way to do it. My parents always remind me if there's something I really, really, really wanted to do, I would find a way to do it. And that's where we have to go back to, just making things work.
You said something interesting earlier about the kid who seemed to do better doing the virtual schooling because of being bullied at school and things like that. That's interesting because I heard someone else said that same thing to me a while back about how much better their child was doing at home than they were doing in the classroom. So
and you don't have distractions. Let's see, if you know that you're not a great learner with your friends around you, but you're by yourself, you're having to pay attention. You're having to focus. My dad was really interested. Like, he's the reason I am the way I am today. My parents, my grandparents, but my dad, every time we moved or went to a new house, he was like, this is your work area. And I had to work in that area. It wasn't the bed. I couldn't just recline there. I wasn't necessarily comfortable, but that was my work area. So the first thing I do anytime I get to like, this is my study. This is I'm in my study right now. You have to have that spot where you go that you know that distractions are not there. You can focus, pay attention, and get the job done.
Wow. Wow. That's great. That is great. That is great. Yeah. So it has its, I guess in a sense, it has its pros and it has its cons. As you also stated earlier that kids miss their peers. They miss being. I know I get that a lot from Miracle. She misses her friends and she wants her friends, and of course she wants them all to come spend the night. But yeah, that's good. That's good. What kind of effect do you think this will have if we did virtual school? What kind of effect do you think it'll have on parents that have multiple students?
That's the issue because some people don't have multiple devices. So then we have to come up with a schedule that really completes you getting your work done. Now let's stop there. If you look at any teenager, you look at any 8-year-old and up nowadays, they have a cellular device. So if they can use that, I have students that I can teach directly on the phone. FaceTime, that works too. Zoom, that works too. But there are other areas and ways you can do anything on your phone. I remember one time I had a student whose brother broke her computer and there was a paper due. She downloaded Microsoft Word and she typed her paper. But what she told me at the end was she typed her paper faster on the phone because she's used to texting. So she's here and she's typing and she said, Mr. Chambray, in like 10 minutes, I had typed the whole paper. And I'm like, wow. What? It's because she knew that keyboard. She knew what it was. So if we can use any device, I think that's going to help us and advance us in that way because they're used to it. The phone is connected to them most of the time or all the time. They want it. But if you're using it to be productive, we are in a new ballgame.
Oh, definitely. Well, there's a shift, and that's why we asked the question: where do our schools go from here? I believe that COVID-19 has changed the world
Yes.
you know, altogether. You know, that people are talking about the new norm, and pretty much this just might be the new norm for school,
Right.
doing the virtual schooling. What about that teacher, you know, as well, that don't want to go back to the classroom?
Well, you know what? I support some teachers that don't want to go back. Let's look at people who are high risk. So if you're above a certain age, usually 65, if you have like respiratory issues, technically I'm an asthmatic. That is a respiratory infection according to the CDC. But I mean, I have my inhalers, I have these things. I mean, it's regulated, it's fine, but I'm still at risk.
Yes.
Therefore, would I put myself in that position? We have to honor our teachers. There's some teachers that are 2 years away from retirement, and this just hit. And they're thinking, like, what am I going to do? I think we just have to readjust and make it work. Now, teachers who are fine and can work in this, put them in the schools if we're going to be in the schools, and let those others work from home virtually. I think we have to, with this change, we have to readjust, but we have to readjust with each readjustment.
Well, do you, and I like that you talk about readjusting. Do you think there's a possibility the school might say, or the school system, should I say, might say that because of the fact that we're going virtual, we don't need as many teachers now?
That could be a thing. I could see how that could come into play. Let's think about it. If you're only teaching 5 hours a day, you have a prep and you have a break at some point in that day, they could align your classes to do that, or they might double up on you. This could lose some teachers. But in the same, I know some teachers who personally walked away. It's too high risk. They have young kids at home. They are taking care of an elderly parent. They just don't want to be in the situation. And they're finding other ways. There's some new colleges that are opening up for people to go ahead and teach, or allowing them to teach like beginning courses, that first year course, freshman courses, with a regular certification. So this is going to be a change. We really have to pay attention. And that teacher will survive. Teachers, but one thing about teachers, we always will make it work. I don't know a teacher that would not make it work. We always find a way. Always.
Yeah. I've noticed that teachers are very resourceful. You know, there's and you know, from when I grew up in school, things have changed drastically from that time, because during that time, teachers pretty much didn't have to provide anything for the students. Students came to school, the student brought everything that they needed. And but now I've noticed that the teachers have to provide so much, you know, and a lot of times a lot of stuff is coming out of their own pockets, you know. Yes. And for me, I don't think that's good. I don't think that's the right thing to do. You know, I think the school system itself should provide a lot of the things that teachers have to provide on their own. You know, but due to the resourcefulness of the teachers, they somehow find a way to make everything work. You know, and not only that, but when you tie that resourceful teacher into the parent, it almost seemed like all our schools are private schools, because a lot of money coming out of pocket for the parents as well.
A lot of money is coming out of pocket, but like I say, teachers will make it work, but in the same, mom and dad will always make it work some kind of way. And so we just have to push. But we also, I mean, there are grants out there. But, you know, to be honest with you, I say there are grants out there, but right now, I've looked at some grants, but they're not giving away grants right now because of COVID. And like I said, we just have to readjust with to make these adjustments. We just have to keep pushing.
Right. And yes, COVID has changed a lot of the way that people are doing grants now, because a lot of people that was actually doing grants and things for schools are shifting that now toward things for COVID-19, you know.
And some people had to dip in their pocket, and now they have to, you know, put that back. So I understand. We just have to make those, like I said, those readjustments. We have to adjust with the readjustment.
Yeah. So, well, I see your partner in crime says you're definitely one of those resourceful teachers.
Yes, I am that. Yes, but at the same time, it's something that you teach. It's how you're raised. Sometimes it's, I have this. How can I make this work? And sometimes, you know, at the end you get to and you go, wow, that was crazy. But at the same time, as a person of faith, we have to apply that same principle. It's like the woman with the issue. I just got to crawl. I'm going to get there. I'm going to touch him. It's fine. Like, we just got to make it work. Keep pushing, keep going. And sometimes you have to open your mouth. I remember one time I was teaching, there was something I didn't have. I said it out loud. The next day, students were walking in with boxes. And I'm going, what? And they said, well, you said yesterday. And they went home and told mom. So mom and dad went out to Walmart, went out to Target, and got everything that I said that I needed. And that's another thing. Students are always listening. Yeah. So we're going to hear you. And like I said, every need will always be met. I have no issue.
Yeah. So students are listening, whether we know it or not, or whether we believe it or not.
Oh yeah, they're always listening.
So how would virtual school affect children with special needs?
I still think for every person in the world, whether you're a diverse learner or whether you're just you consider yourself the at-home learner, what it is possible to make sure that you're learning. So there's strategies that teachers can use to make sure that they're adhering to you, getting to you. There are check-ins that they can do, whether it's they teach one course and then do an individual one-on-one session to make sure. But I believe that students who are diverse in any learning disability, there is a way and a resource out there for you. And if there's a student listening now that feels already like beat up from this last semester and going, that was hard, that was difficult, this is time where we make that change. And parents, you have to pay attention. You have to say, okay, if my child takes their phone and they can watch Netflix for a 30-minute show or a 2-hour movie and they're fine and they're calm, why can't I find an educational piece for the same allotment of time that gets to them? You have to go back and make these readjustments. There are ways out there. So and then a huge thing that I tell parents and students everywhere, you have to know how your student learns. You as a parent have to know how you learn. Are you auditory? Can you hear something and do it? Are you the mom that just screams to your child to do something and they do it? They might. But it may be, I always think about it like this. You get a box of something that you have to assemble. There are going to be 3 different ways that we deal with this. One person is going to open that box and just start working. One person is going to open that box, they're going to read the instructions, and then they're going to put it together. And somebody is going to watch a video of someone assembling that and then put it together after following those steps. Whichever one of the 3 that you are, or if you're a combo of those 3, that is your learning style. And you have to use that to advance. So parents, pay attention to what your child is doing, how they absorb things, how they get it, how they process it. And when you discover that, you can do anything. And I do mean anything.
That's powerful. That is a powerful statement right there. Know the learning style.
Yes, have to.
And each one of us needs to know our learning style.
And we're all different. And if you have 3 kids, they learn three different ways, that is fine. Every child is not going to be identical. Even identical twins are not the same person. They learn differently. You have to make those readjustments or those adjustments or figure out how do they learn. And when you figure that out, like I say, it can coast really easily. You've gotten over the bump now. It's just smooth learning after that.
Okay, yeah. I learned a long time ago personally about my own learning style. It's difficult. I guess my learning style will stress a lot of people out, because some people have the learning style where they have to just study, mm-hmm. Or they won't get it. Well, right. In my learning style, if I study, I will forget everything I studied.
Right.
So I have to, many times I have to speed read, yes. Read over something fresh so that it's fresh in my mind. Exactly. Even in high school, there was many times, and I don't want no students out there listening to try to take my learning style because it may not work for you. Right. Know your own learning style. But a lot of times, I didn't study for tests. I didn't take notes in class, things like that. And but there were times that when it came time for testing, I would scan over and speed read somebody else's notes, and end up making more on the test than they did. They say, "How you do that?" Well, that's just my learning style, and fortunately, that's still my learning style.
Right. And that's the thing. When you realize whatever your learning style is, it usually doesn't change. Because that's how you're calibrated. That's how you're made. And that's how you absorb information. So that's how you process it. So like I said, when you find it, keep it, trust it. It's going to work. You have to make those adjustments. I have so many kids that struggled sometimes in high school, or when we figured it out, what it was, that learning style. I told them in college, you have this because college is so different. It's a thing. It's not where you're going from 8 to 3 every day. It's not when we tell you to go to lunch. You may just have Tuesday, Thursday classes. You may just have Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and you'd be done at 10 a.m. Whatever that is for you, it's a different style. So for high school students right now that are freaking out going, oh my gosh, college is going to be, no, college is going to be fine. You have to step in there, do what you need to do, know your learning style, know how to get it and process it, and do it. And guess what? Graduation will be right there in front of you.
And know that your parents will be there to wake you up and say, hey, get up and go to class.
Not at all, but they might call. I don't know.
I think one of the greatest things that a parent can buy that student that's going off to college is an alarm clock.
There we go. Yes. Yeah. That I'm going to say get an alarm clock, but also get a place to hang your keys. I was late to class one time because I had misplaced my keys. And I was like, that is no excuse. And sorry, mom and dad, because y'all don't know the story. But, and so I'm saying, okay, well, why am I late? And how am I going to be late? So that day I went in and bought a keychain or a key holder. And every day I came in, placed my keys right there. So that never, ever happened again. And like I say, even now, that was the first thing I put in our new house was keys go here. So I'm never, ever late.
Yeah, I guess that's something we all need, right?
Yeah, you know, but like I said, you just have to figure out what you need to survive for yourself. I think oftentimes people just get caught up on someone else's style. Like, you know, that A student, and you know what she does, or you know what he does. You say, I'm gonna do that. If it's not for you, it's not gonna work.
It don't work.
Yeah.
It don't work. And now, and personally, you know, when it comes to learning and testing and things like that, I found out, and again, learned a long time ago, that I do better under pressure. And there are some people that actually perform. There are some students that actually perform better under pressure.
I know a lot of students like that. I call them procrastinator destiny people. They wait to the last minute, which is fine. And I know several people where that is their process. They wait to the last time, but that crunch time, it gets them going, and they get the extra adrenaline and endorphins. They fly out and they get it done. If you know that's you, okay. Don't necessarily wait all the time. At least look over and know what you need to know by a certain date. But find the process, find your process, walk into it.
Right. So as we somewhat anxiously await Dr. Mack's announcement tomorrow.
Yes.
Just do you have what are your thoughts, or what do you think he's going to say?
I think it's going to be blended learning. And what I'm saying by blended is I think that if you're in a school system that can accommodate virtual learning for all of your students, I think that that's going to be the goal that's set for you. I do believe that it's going to be phases. I believe that they're going to test some things out from probably August, maybe that first quarter, first semester, first quarter, whatever you want to call it in your school system. They're going to test some things out. Guys, let's be honest. They're going to be bumps in the road. This is the very first time that we've done something like this. Some of you parents, this is your first time having to look over your child's shoulder and see, is this what you're learning? And some parents had to go back and say, hey, I had parents calling me going, wait a minute, I hadn't done this since 6th grade. I need some help. I get it. Yeah, it's fine. I can help you. Other friends can help you. This is that. But I think it's going to be phases. And then there are going to be some places where they're going to go back to school, but they're going to be new precautions where we're still going to have the social distance in lunchrooms. We're going to have social distance while traveling in the hallway. Masks are going to be a requirement. And some people say, well, how do you keep a mask on an elementary school student? We're just going to have to learn, because I guarantee you now, some of those masks are going to become blindfolds. Some of those blindfolds are going to become hair scrunchies. Things are going to change. That's a kid. But, you know, I enjoy that. That is a time. And that is the time to do that. Middle school, high school, like I said, virtual learning, it's probably going to push that way. But if you're in a system that can accommodate you, some schools may be doing, you just show up at the school and get a physical copy of the work. And then they may have pre-recorded videos there for you. Some schools have tablets that they can administer to you and have them preloaded. It's going to be a different variation depending on the system and the area in which that student lives. Things are going to be different. But guys, regardless of what this is, and this is how I see things, teachers are able to teach regardless of anything. But if you want to learn something, you'll learn it. So just have open ears, open heart, open mind. And this next school year, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. You know, I should have been one of those parents that call you for help.
You should have called me, yes.
Because that 5th grade work almost killed me.
It's only
as long as I did 5th grade work. Hey, a question from one of our viewers, and I do want to throw this out again. You know, for our viewers, if you have any questions, go ahead and post them on the screen, and we will deal with those questions as well. But the question says, what advice would you give parents who have anxiety about being home with children all day and maybe feeling inadequate in helping them?
Okay, let me tell you this. Every parent doesn't know everything, okay? And I feel that the first thing you have to do is to be honest. Say, baby, look, I can get you some help, but I can't do this. And as a parent, that's all that you can do. You only want to seek after helping your son or your daughter. And you're going to make choices based upon helping your son or your daughter. That's what a parent does. Being a new father, like I said, he comes first. Sebastian comes first. I think about it. I'm just, okay, what is my son going to do? What is this? I remember as soon as I went back to work, it was like, oh, okay, I have to leave at a certain time to get to daycare. Those priorities change. So that doesn't change because your son is 16 now. That doesn't change because your daughter is 14. Parents will have to first be honest and let them know this is not my area of expertise, but I can find some research. I can help you. I can look at some videos. I can find another way. There's another issue. I've had some parents that were doing math one way when the state was requiring math to be done another way, and they couldn't get in, like they get the right answer, but the middle part, that'll be different.
Yeah.
The thing is this, and this is personally how I feel about it. We have to get to the answer. Maybe you don't know that style, find that style, but at the same time, you got to practice. My dad used to push me so hard. Sometimes he would go and he would make a test based off of whatever chapter we were on and give it to me. And then I would have to come back and say, okay. And he said, I'm just making sure that you're ready. So then I get in the classroom, get the test, finish the test. I finish so fast, the teacher goes, are you really finished? I'm like, yeah, I'm done. And I would ace it. It's because I was prepared. I had trained for that situation. The same thing. Homework is an activity that you are taking what you've learned to practice and get better. Wow. You have to do it. And homework should not end just because summertime. I always had to go to a summer camp. I had to go somewhere. I couldn't just chill at the house because my parents didn't want my mind to be idle. My mom was like, okay, what camp? What are you doing? What are you doing? You have to get up. You can't just stop exercising and expect your body to be the same. It's not.
It's true.
Right. So practice. You have to work that brain. You have to exercise it. You have to keep going. And I mean, it can become fun. It should be fun. And that's the thing. I think so many educators are getting to a place of getting to state standards, but not making the lessons relatable. You have to relate to these students because if you don't, you're going to lose them. You have to make sure that you stay up on the hottest stuff that's out there. And it doesn't matter if you're 75 years old. Go get a TikTok to see why everyone's on there. Like you have to make sure that you're staying in the know so that you can spread knowledge.
Yeah. So I guess I need to get a TikTok.
I mean, if you want
to. Can you see me doing a TikTok?
I can see it. It could work. I think Miracle's going to outshine you.
You know I try just about anything.
There we go. Trinity can help you. I know. You know what? We're going to get to Trinity. We'll get him a TikTok. That's for you.
Yeah. Since we talking to people. Since we talking to people in our audience, I know your dad is watching. Yeah, I really can believe he pushed you that hard. I met your dad. I know.
Well, yeah. At the same time, my mom was a huge pusher. I remember it was sophomore year of high school, and my mom, she had signed, like, it was a contract, it was a sheet of paper out. I'm going, what is this? And it said that I would receive so many scholarships by said date.
Wow.
And if I did not, I owed my mom $1,000.
Jeez.
And I'm like, gosh, like $1,000. But at the same time, that pushed me to go, okay, go apply over here, go apply over there, go get this, go get that. Because it was in my brain, I don't have $1,000, but I have to get this done. And as a sophomore in high school, you're going, okay. And at that time, we had to take like a graduation exam. I passed all that part. I was just waiting on graduation and to complete the other courses. But I'm going, what's going to happen? And it's one of those things of going, you have to push yourself, but you have to challenge yourself. And I met that deadline. I surpassed it. And like I say, I went to school on a scholarship.
Wow. So I got another question from one of our viewers. But before I get that question, I want to ask this question personally. Did your mom give you $1,000 for each scholarship you got?
No, not yet. It wasn't paid like that, but I did get several things. You see, that's when you get that list. Oh, rent was paid at your college apartment, was it not? Oh, okay, that goes. That's the $1,000. I get it. Car note was paid when you went to college. Okay, I get it. So that's what that was. So she's paid me probably 15, 20 times beyond that. Yes.
I knew she gonna get me for asking that question. But anyway, so the question from the viewer says, "How can you become a virtual teacher if you're interested?"
Okay, so that's going to be different, and it's kind of also in the state of Alabama going to be based upon what we're doing tomorrow. If you have a teacher certificate in the state of Alabama, depending on how these schools are going to be learning, they will go ahead and allow you to teach. And principals are probably going to be making that decision of who's going to be teaching what subject in what area. Like I said, this has been a different time for administration. 3 years ago, I got on the administrative side, and it opened my eyes to education in a new way. So for those who want to be virtual teachers, go to schools that you think that you want to teach at. Look at their website or that county or that system and see exactly what the requirements are. And then also check, I know in the state of Alabama, for those who are math and science, some of you do not actually need a teacher certificate. They will give you an emergency certificate based upon your degree so that you can teach. I know several friends who have always had an interest in teaching. I go, come on, let's do it. It is there for you. Some people are just good at connecting. If you have that desire, don't let anyone stop you. And some have had to make job changes due to coronavirus. I do realize that, but there is a place for you. And I believe that with this adjustment, whatever it may be tomorrow, that there are going to be some positions opening up in places that we didn't think about.
Right. Okay. Now, so I know we're talking a lot about the public sector of the schooling. What do you think going to happen in our private schools?
Private schools. So private schools it's a different thing. That keyword being private, as in you have jurisdiction to kind of control and govern yourselves according to how you want to. So I do believe that some schools are going to mock after whatever's released for public schools to follow. But private schools have reign to do whatever they want to. If they want to be virtual all year long, they can do that. If they want to just do the first semester virtual and then come in section by section, that may be the process. But private schools, like I say, they have the reign to really operate how they want to. Now, we have to be cautionary with the CDC. We're still going to have to follow new standards and new guidelines. So they're going to have to adhere to that, whether that's sectioning off rooms. And some people say, that's really hard for younger students. Kids love stars on the floor. Kids love shapes and things that are there that gets their attention. They go, okay, that's my star. I stand on that star every day. I sit at this star. There are ways to readjust to make sure that we're staying away from each other as we need to. But another thing I think about is, how does a teacher now look over a student's shoulder? I know some schools are going to make it mandatory for all staff to have on masks at all times. We're going to be going into different situations. And there's another issue. What if someone cannot afford a mask? Well, people, I believe private schools and public as well, parents, make masks, find ways, bandanas, find those things out there. You may just want to buy a box of masks and donate it to a private school or a school in general. There's something that you can do that for those who are not covered. There's another thing about private schools I want to mention. Let's not all assume that when people go to private schools that they have money or that they're rich. Most students at private schools are there on tuition. That tuition may be paid by someone else. It may be paid by a private donor. That doesn't change the amount of money that is in that individual household. So don't get caught up in going, they have money, they have it made over there. It's not that, okay? So please be cautious of when we're speaking of private schools and going, they have it set, they have it made. It takes a lot to run a private school. It takes a lot to get it done. It takes a lot of money to get things done in there. So please just don't assume, but like I say, trust that school. There's a reason that you were drawn to that school. There's a reason that you want your child at that school. They're going to meet your needs to keep your kid there.
Yeah. And I know you and I both have seen kids at private schools that was practically didn't have anything for real. So yeah, we've definitely seen that happen. So it's not about the money that a person get to go to a private school. No, definitely. That's another guest says that there was talk about certain grade levels going to school on certain days to make the social distance possible. Do you see this happening?
I do see that happening. Technically, for students, state of Alabama, 180 days is all you have to have in the school. Technically, if you split it up by hours in the actual courses that you're going to, we're going to be able to break that up into different parts. So in order for these larger schools to get everybody in there, yes, we're going to have to do it in sections to make sure that they can social distance. So I do believe that that's going to be one of the best practices. And it's going to be an adjustment, don't get me wrong, because now you have to come up with a place for your other kid to be at said time, said day. But we have to readjust, and I promise you guys, push through. Get ready.
Do you think that a lot of schools work on what is called the block schedule, where they got this class today, then other class tomorrow, then back to that same class on the Wednesday, then that other class on Thursday. Almost similar to a college schedule, actually.
Yes.
Do you think it may be possible they can do the same thing with the grade levels? You got certain grades on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and others on Tuesday and Thursday, and that's swapped over the next week?
Yes, I do believe that the A-Day, B-Day transition is going to be really, really popular now, to make sure that we're accommodating and getting every subject area. And then honestly, sometimes in certain systems, you have someone that's going to retire in December that teaches one set course, and they may not be rehiring in January. I don't know, but still, they're going to have to adjust to make sure that every kid is getting what they need in order to graduate. And I do know that your child would get every subject area that they need, the hours needed, for them to really succeed. But at the same time, parents, don't just cut it off. You should be doing something at home anyway. Yep. And if you're not, start to make sure that your child really has it, because that's going to be difficult. Think about it. If you're in elementary school or middle school and the last day that you had that subject was 3 days ago, it's not going to still be there. So what am I doing in those 3 days to assure that I know the subject matter? Parents, that's when you come in. Big brother, big sister, that's when you come in. There are games on your phone that can review this. And like I say, this digital learning for Google Classroom, there's Apple Classroom. There are all these avenues that people can use and that parents can actually download and see. All right, Tuesday, I need you to be ready with this. Like I say, get you a giant calendar, write it down. We love our phones. Get your phone, get it in there. Get that alarm going that you know what day it's what and when and what time to turn it in. We're going to have to walk this out together.
Yeah, well, from my perspective, many of our schools, in a sense, classroom was overcrowded anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I think this is going to give a great opportunity to manage the overcrowding.
Yes.
So that even if the teacher is in the classroom, the teacher is not bombarded or overcrowded with too many students that they have to try to teach and discipline and keep under control as well.
That's another thing too. People also don't think about teachers as being regular people. And I used to get this all the time. Like, you see me in Walmart, you shop at Walmart. Well, I mean, come on. Like, you have to get stuff. It's one of those things but you only see your teacher in your mind from that first bell to your last bell, and not thinking about that person has a family, that person has other issues, that person has, think about it. My friends used to crack me all the time and say, you get the whole summer off. And I'm like, no, not really, because I'm getting ready for the next school year. So I'm really training myself for this. It's not that we're just sitting back relaxing. You can ask any teacher right now how many books they've read, how many seminars they've taken, how many webinars. I've taken so many webinars this summer alone just to prepare and to get ready. There's so many things. Teachers are normal people. And sometimes we think or forget about, they're thinking about mom or dad being sick or ill, or there's an issue, or there's a problem, or they have personal struggles. Teachers are regular people in whom we have to give access to our kids. So please, like, those little thank you notes go a long way. Those waves, those nice messages, those nice emails, those go a long way. Teachers need something to pick them up in the middle of the year. I've had teachers that wanted to burn out in November. And I went, ooh, we got to get to May. How do we do this? So people, you got to pray for your teachers. You have to embody them. You have to say, hey, what is going on? How can I help you? And like, how can you help me? That's making sure that little things are done all the time. So like, please value teachers for who they are, but remember they're regular people.
Wow. That's great, man. That's great. It's so much great information. Appreciate you sharing such a wealth of information with our audience tonight. It's just absolutely awesome. Before we close, I do want to ask our audience, do you have any more questions that you want to present before we sign off? If so, go ahead and type those in on the screen now. So we can deal with that. So we're going to get off here in just a moment. But I just wanted to, and I appreciate you coming on to share with the world, because we see where we are. We know where we've been. We see where we are, and we're trying to make preparation to get to a place that we almost don't know where we're going. Yeah. But we have to prepare ourselves the best that we can for that, and I see that you have thought this out very well, and pretty much we are prepared. So,
the biggest thing we have to remember is our number one teacher and our first teacher are our parents and grandparents, and you have to get back to that dynamic. Like I say, my dad was an amazing teacher in my life, but my mom was my first teacher. She ran her own daycare. My grandmother, she was a teacher for 37 years. My other grandmother, she was my Sunday school teacher. It starts at the house. And if you know how to switch from each teacher and how to adjust and how to make it work, it starts at home. And for those people who feel like, I don't have that family member that I can do that with, there's somebody in the neighborhood, there's a friend, there's a teacher at that school that will take you in like your own family member. It's a family dynamic that spreads out. And I promise you, it makes it so much easier that you can just come to somebody and talk about it and to be open.
Son, It sounded like you were passing classes before you started school.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And speaking of that, yes, there are teachers, and I applaud great teachers and great principals that take the time to do these things. I do know of a principal who actually, if was used to be a math teacher, and if the math teacher had to be out, she would not bring in a sub. She would like to take the class herself and teach those students, and also she would take time to tutor students as well. So there are some people that are not doing this just for a paycheck, but they're doing it for a passion. And
I say it all the time. True teachers are not in it for the income; they're in it for the outcome. It's
wow.
What's going to happen with what we do. It's not just that one little moment. And let's trust, it doesn't come overnight. Sometimes it takes a week. Sometimes it takes a month. Sometimes it takes that whole school year. But I promise you this: true teachers aren't going to give up.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, Tramell, thank you so much, man.
Yes,
you have definitely blessed us tonight with a wealth of information, and I think somebody has really been helped. I know I have. I'm ready to take on the 6th grade.
Yes. Yes.
So we appreciate you so much, and tell Adrian and Bash we said hello.
I will.
All right, thank you so much, man. You have a good night. We'll talk with you later.
You too.
All right. God bless, man. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We certainly hope that you have been helped and blessed tonight with such an awesome show, such awesome information, and something that we can anticipate what's going to happen tomorrow for the schools of the state of Alabama, as Dr. Mackey will give his presentation tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. of what's going to what's the plan of action is going to be for the state schools of Alabama. So, hey, if you got a chance to tune in tomorrow to see what he has to say, we ask you to do that. I'm going to do my best to be tuned in tomorrow morning to listen to what Dr. Mackey has to say, and so that we can govern ourselves according to that. We thank you so much again for tuning in to this edition of Greg Talks, and we believe and we pray that you have been helped by this show. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. And we thank you again for tuning in to Greg Talks. This has been another edition of Greg Talks. You have a great, great, great night. Oh, yeah. We're going to get all these technical difficulties we're having, but we got to get there. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. Yeah. There we go.
The best way you listen to get the whole truth. The best way you listen to get a fair view. The best way you listen to get the whole truth. The best way you listen to get a fair view. This is Greg Talk. This is Greg Talk.
God bless you, bless you. All y'all out there tonight. I ain't Will Hyde. Talia McDonald, Robert Rice, Cassandra Monique Roberts. Yes, Deanna Roper Russell, Darlene Knight, LeBron Chambray. God bless y'all. Have a great night.